here, sorry, I got distracted for a second, but anyway, one thing and that we have here when we're working on our collage or that is just kind of what room do we have in our picture here? So as you're placing it around, and what we're looking for are images like on a collage page to push out to the edge, is we're looking for space that does not matter that it gets trimmed off. It doesn't affect the main part of the image. So an image like I have here, if it was on just a collage page where everything was pushed out to the very edge, the image would work well going out to the outside. The main focus of the image is still here within the margin, and we're going to lose a little bit of shoulder in that very, well, maybe not much shoulder, but maybe right in through here. This image is also going to work well here. Again, nothing too critical that's here. Our face of our student is still within the margin. And of course, it's going to play well down at the bottom of the page. Not much, they're still here. Now, on this particular image, just where it's trimmed, and it's trimmed really close off to the top. I mean, it is right there on this student's, the top of their head. So if we push this out, this image, an image like this is probably not going to work well at the top of the page because it hits into the bleed and it comes right across the estimated trim. And then we're also, they're take in mind that they're, have in mind that there might be a little bit of variance. So I'm going to bring down this guide just in case it trims more so down. So this is going to, it could, cut off a little bit more of the student's head than what we would have liked. So it's all things to kind of keep in mind when you're looking at your photos. Like in this one, like stuff that you would work well is something like this. It has extra room, has some sky background. So when you're building collage pages, if you do it like that, just keep, study how much what open space you have. If it's extra sky or ground or just unused space, see where it plays better. Just if you have heads in that are real close to the top, they're probably not going to work best up at the top of the page. So, but there again, just wanted to go over what the concept of bleed was. And remember, that's just full printing going out to the very edge of the page. With our trim line, there's a 1/8 inch variance that could be there. And to keep everything safe, try to keep as much as your core content or the importance of your photos with inside the page margins. So I'm going to clear this off here. And then we'll kind of take a look at some of the other things that we have going, through our menus and that. So see what kind of tools that you have to play with here while you get going. So I'm going to zoom in on this so we can see these menus a little bit better. So I'm going to do just kind of a quick rundown of what we have here. So under File, this is where you're going to have your actions such as save and save as template. Now your save is also, you have a few options up here on the top toolbar here, just more of a quick selection basically. So your save icon is also this disk icon that is right here on the top toolbar as well. Coming down here, we do have, save as practice page, new practice page. So what are practice pages? Basically, they're exactly that. They're practice pages. Basically, it's kind of like a template, but you would work on a practice page much like you would a real page, but a practice page is more where you can test things out, try different formatting, if images, filters, but basically it's just exactly that for you to kind of practice different things on how to apply, formatting or working with templates, but just a good way to familiarize yourself with the program. Now, practice pages, and we'll kind of show you a little bit later, they are saved under the Designs tab that you can come back to them, do some more practice. But you also, let's say with that practice page, maybe that practice page you're playing with it and working on it, and you'd be like, you know what, this is the page I want to be in the yearbook. Those practice pages can definitely just drag and drop over to a page like in an actual on the design page and apply, and then you're off to the races at that point. You're good to go. Um, Going through, we have stuff like page info, where it just gives you a short. This is some of the info that's there on the page ladder. If you had that filled in. View PDF. This is where you can do a proof page of your, like a review or a proof page of, any page here in the program. This is also a quick selection up here. It's this little printer icon. And when you hover over this, it says preview page. And we can also download the current spread as a JPEG, and that'll kind of be like a proof page as well. So if you needed to bring down a quick proof of the page, and let's say, your principal or PTA president or anyone helping you review needed something to kind of, needed something real quick to check out progress or help you do that review. That's another good way. These view PDFs, whenever you do that on a page, it'll pull up an on-screen PDF that you could download and print out as well. You download it digitally, and you can hook that onto an email, send that out for review or whoever's helping. But definitely good ways later if you get into proofing. Under the edit menu, here is where you're going to find like your undo, your redo. And undo and redo are also quick selections up here on the top toolbar. You have your standard cut, copy, paste, and delete options while you're working on your pages. This is change background. This brings up the background menu that we have in the program here. This will allow us later to get to our theme art. And also if we just want to do solid color backgrounds in that. I just want to pull that up real quick, but we're going to get back on this one later. Still under edit, we have some of our spell options here. We have find and replace and spelling. The spell check in that is also a quick selection up here. It's a little ABC check mark there. And we do also have select options. So if you want to select any one particular thing on your pages to work at once, that's what so select all. If you want to just select the images on a page and do certain slight formatting to all the images, that would be good for this, or the text boxes. Coming down below later when you're finding or that, if you're trying to complete pages and you're not able to find certain stuff, maybe the program tells you that certain stuff is incomplete or empty. This is a good one to hit select and incomplete, and it'll highlight where those incomplete elements are on a page. And what those incomplete elements, most of the time, they are empty photo boxes and empty text boxes. So that's all they mean by is incomplete. It says they're empty. They haven't been edited yet. But good way, because sometimes those incomplete elements can actually, while you're building your page, maybe they get covered up and you have that behind. So if you do a select and incomplete, it'll at least highlight where that is on the page. And then if you need to use some of the arrangement tools to send something back to where you can then grab that and delete it. But this definitely helps there. And the same kind of with locked elements. Next up is the view menu. This is where you're going to see things like hide rulers, hide page margin. I always have mine showing. Hide grid lines. Now, that's because they're already on here on the page, and I could hide them this way. Another way to do it is down in the bottom right corner of the program here. There's a little 2-button dealie. And if I click this the bottom one has little hash marks there. This is the toggle for grid lines as well. And then we have hide guides, lock guides, and clear guides. So I got a page, a couple of guides here. Guides can be brought down from the top and the side rulers. Now I'm just clicking and grabbing inside that and then dragging them over to a spot on the page here. So I can either, just quickly hide these. I can lock them in place so I don't accidentally move them, because if you hover over them, I can still move this, and locking them is just going to lock them in place there. That way, if you're moving stuff or building stuff, you don't accidentally grab it instead of one of your photos and then move it across the page. And if you're ever done with your guides, you don't need any more, we can clear them. So you can do all of them at once. You can do maybe you just want to readjust all your row guides or adjust all your column guides, clear them out and redo them. In this case, I'm just going to clear everything out here. Then we also have our zoom in, zoom out, and fit in window. These are also right here in the upper right. So we just have a plus and minus and a drop down where you can do fit to page. And below this is how we change our page view. So by default, we're going to, by default, your pages are facing pages. Now there is the single page, just to switch it to single page anytime you want. If in cases where if you need to decide which one, or if you want to leave it on facing or single, if you are, let's say you're the only one working on the book, you're the sole editor, you're the lone advisor, you really wouldn't need any reason to kind of split those up while you're working. Or if there's just a few of you and you know that you're always going to be working in different spots at the same time, where you might find it beneficial to actually split those up would be for some of you advisors that maybe you have a yearbook class and you have multiple staff students helping you work in that book. And let's say you have multiple logins going on there. Ideally, you would want to assign, for those advisors that have logins and are assigning pages, ideally you would want to assign the one student to both pages, to the entire spread, and going on through and just make sure that everyone had a different spread. But sometimes that's not the case. You could have just a very large class, and maybe it winds up to where you have one student assigned to the left, another student assigned to the left or the right. So what would happen on that is, if you do have two different people working on the same spread at the same time, this could lead to save errors. What would happen is, let's say that the student on the left page was working, they're both working, but let's say that student on the left finished and then hit save first. Well, their progress would be honored onto the page right then and there. The student on the right, whenever they went to hit save, they would get a message that it's no longer the current version. They would need to save their progress as a template. Now, if that's the case, what they would then do is leave the page without saving and then come back and apply that template later. So you don't have to, in that case, so you don't have to go through that. If you do end up having two different students assigned on the same spread, to avoid having those save errors or even having to do a template, have both students or staff members change their page view just to a single page. So then once both of them are on a single page, right now, then those two pages are working independently. So student working on the left, they can work, save anytime. Same can the student on the right, work, save anytime. Both of their progress will be honored because both of them At that point, they've been in single page mode, so you're then just really working on that side. You're only tied to that one side. So wanted to throw that out there for those that do. And yeah, try to avoid save errors as much as can. Single pages will help if you got two different people working on the same spread. Had a quick question show up in the chat here. I can squeeze in before we move on. Is what do you use the grid lines for? A lot of people use those just for either if they're building collage pages or bringing stuff on or making their own template, because there are the elements that are just here in the program under the art tab. So people could, bring over, different photo boxes here, but then they can use the grid lines for alignment. And that just kind of squaring stuff up, making sure that you're lined up the way that you want. So, and it's just an easy on-screen visual to help with that. But primarily, yeah, that's just placement, helping you align, helping you with spacing, stuff like that. So, no, good question. Good question to slip in there. So from here, really just needed to go under the arrange menu, and you have stuff. I need stuff on pages. I need images or shapes. Let's just do images. Let's toss them out here real quick. Okay, so under arrange, here's where you're going to see things like your lock unlock, to where you can lock a page. Lock is also up here in the upper right. This little padlock icon to where you can toggle stuff and it'll be unlocked. If you have multiple items highlighted, so I'm just going to highlight all three of those, we have things like we can group that together to where then it acts like one unit. We got ungroup. I'll just break that link. Now that group ungroup also has quick selections up here in the upper right. So we'll have group and then right beside it ungroup there. So two different ways to get to those if you need to group things together. Where we kind of see that is my custom headlines in that, and we'll show you a little more when we get into templates with that. Let's see, what else we have? We also have, okay, so then a lot of the other stuff here is we have in our alignment tools. So we have align horizontally, left, center, right. And actually I need to rearrange these photos here. Highlight all three. Because this align horizontally, actually align left, align center, align right, this is going to be good for your columns that are here. So if I want to pull all these more this way to this top picture, so I'm going to hit left, it just brings everything even over on that side. If this were all scrambled the other way, of course, it would be the arranged align right. Align vertically is going to be for your rows. So that you can arrange, you can align top or bottom. So under vertically, we have, it'll stay there, top, middle, and bottom. So either way. But there's our alignment tools. Now, under this arrange that is up here, we also have this, it's also right here in the upper right on the quick selection. Now this is on a little, right here it comes on pinned. Now these menus, some of these menus can be just left up, floating around. That way you always have them. So while you're working on, aligning or doing stuff like that, good menu to have up. Arrangement, flip and rotate. We also have the align objects, which is what we just went through, the align left, center, right. So left and right could be for your columns, and align tops and bottom is going to be for your rows. Now what the arrangement is here is let's say if you want to do a collage page or something like that, you want to change the order of those layers, what comes above what, if you need to tuck a corner behind something else. So if this one, I can hit send backward. I'm just going to do one corner, hit another one, get another corner. But that's exactly what arrangement is here, is just the stacking order of how those look on a page. So those tools, the arrangement tools really come in handy on candid pages, where you're just throwing everything on and you might need to tuck corners or something like that. So definitely a good one to use there if you're doing collage pages. And all right, so that we have things like also like the transform. So that's flipping it, stuff like that. Mirror. So if I did mirror, actually what that did is actually it took everything and put it all the way over to the other side there. So that was mirror horizontally. Okay, so that was just kind of your working tools, what you have to work with here on your pages. So I'm going to scale everything back real quick. All right. Okay, so let's run down through the tabs, and while we're doing this, we're going to build ourselves a page here. So first tab here, this is our pages tab. Again, this is kind of like your page ladder here, just allows you to quickly access your pages here. Find an open page where you want to make those, or maybe you have them assigned, or you've at least have something laid out to where, I know this page is going to be this event and so on. So once you access your page, you're good to either, like I said before, make a page by dragging and dropping. But this time we're going to look at designs here. So I'm going to go under the Designs tab. Now the Designs tab houses all of our pre-made templates, both full page and smaller little groupings. So if I'm going under here, you'll see that there's the custom category. Now, custom is anything that you have created or modified. If you've taken one of our templates and modified it and then saved it as a template, they're going to show up under custom, and you'll see those under my templates that are there. Where I'm going to go here, if you're just looking for the templates, we're going to look under Page Surfer for candid activity. And so candids, clubs and organizations, gallery, openings and dividings, sports, student life, these are all full of pre-made, they're full page templates. They're ready to drop on and add photos and text into. So really good clubs, you'll have like club photo stuff in here. Openings and dividers, kind of where you have maybe like a little intro to the next section of your book. Sports. Then there's student life, just some other little random things that are in here. And then gallery. Gallery is a mix of a lot of stuff. So there is some interesting stuff in there worth checking out, but a lot of these are already 2-page spreads and all that, but definitely a good look. Now for today, what we're going to be looking at is, I'm actually just going to go to the Candids category. Now the Candids category has anything that's really under these are our most basic templates that are in the program. So some of these are just photo boxes. Some, if I bring them in, some may just have a heading, photo boxes here. Another little style on that is here. So we'll bring this over. Bring the other side. Okay. So I think I'm just going to start with just a basic template that is here that I have. Okay, so when you're bringing your images, like I said, if you bring them over, now when you bring your images over, you're going to notice a couple different things. If your photo box highlights green, that means that your image has high enough resolution, it's large enough to fill that spot. So you notice on these bigger ones that you see that it's really big ones that you see it's going kind of red, purplish that is there. That's just letting you know that that photo will not fit in that spot. Could be the overall size. Our program is not going to allow an image to be extended beyond its actual size. Or it could be just that maybe it's not meeting one of the dimensions. Maybe it may have the width to fit in there, but maybe it doesn't have the height, or vice versa. So if you do run into that red, if there's another photo box spot that's a little bit smaller and it'll work just as well, then you'll just drop it down into your spot that is there. Now, one thing I did mention about our templates is that our templates are you can modify them to your own liking. So there's no one part of our template that is set in stone. So let's say that you brought over one of our templates, and I'm just going to use this one here, but it's like, well, I would like a heading. I would like to slip in a heading here, but I don't have any room. What do I kind of do? Couple different things you can do. One, you could, if you size the boxes down, make room. You can adjust this stuff. And so I'm going to bring everything down, and now I would like still a little bit more room up above there. There we go. So I'm going to leave myself some room here. I'm going to go up, hit save. Okay, so from here, let's say I want to add in a heading. A couple different ways we can do that. This one of the simple ones, just one easy way here, is going over to the text tab and grabbing any one of our styles. So I'm going to grab headline. Now, what a style is these styles, it's just whenever you bring a style over to a page, that's how you add a text box. It's just adding it into whatever that font is, and the size and the color and that. So that's just how it starts as. So once it's on the page, it's editable just like anything else. I mean, once it's on there, it won't take long to change it at all. So you'd have whatever your title is, whatever you want that headline to be there. We can also change the font. Here, I'm gonna deselect. I'm gonna choose the box once. There we go. And let's say I want to enlarge that. There we go. So I can make my own headline. I could adjust that back or have something over in that area. So that's one way. So that's just how you would use a text box that is there. Now under the Designs tab, some other neat little templates that we have here are those that are called Click and Go. Now what Click and Go templates are, they're not full page templates like what I've been bringing onto the page. The Click and Goes are smaller grouping of just a few elements. Underneath here, we have some different neat ones, like little 3 style photo boxes that are there. Even like some little graphic stuff that have that. So that's pretty neat stuff. And even when you're making a template, so I'm going to clear out some of this stuff here. So even with the Click and Goes, from time to time, you don't have to start with it. Again, if there was a couple, you wanted to bring a couple of these and make your own kind of page with something like that, that's another way to build a candid activity page, something kind of neat, something kind of creative. Mix and matching stuff in here. Different little bio things like that if you wanted to include into some spots. And I'm just going to undo back to where we were, back to our template the way we had it. I'm going to go back under the click and go, and I'm going to go under headline though. In here, smaller little click and go clusters of headlines that are here. All right, so I'm just going to pick one random little heading that is here, bring it on, and here I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. Now, when you bring a click and go onto a page, one thing you'll notice about it is it has, instead of having a solid line when it's selected, has these little dashed lines around here. If you see that dashed line, that just means that this whole cluster of stuff is grouped together here. So we can, before we can edit this text, or maybe we want to change these shape colors, you'll need to just ungroup it and let me select it, hit ungroup. So now then you're able to edit these that are here. And then with the shapes, because there's a text box sitting on top of a shape. So if we're able to select that shape that is there, we can then go up to this toolbar right here. Now, let me, while we're working on your pages, you'll notice that on the toolbar that's up above the page, now this is our contextual toolbar, it will change its options depending on what you have selected on the page. So right now I've got a shape selected, so I'm then able to change the color of that. If I have text selected, then up here in the contextual toolbar, then everything switches to where I then have text editing options. So I can change the size. I'm going to change the color of the text. Let's say I'll change it to black here. Now, one thing when you're working with the color menu and working with text boxes, when we have the text options up above here, when you first go into it, the option that is here, you have a fill and a stroke for any text box. Now, there's two options that are over here to the right. There is text color and shape color. So if the A icon here, the text color option is selected, then you're working with just the text, the lettering that's inside the text box. So the fill right now I have is black. And if I go to stroke, now stroke is a thin and simple little border that would go around this. So I could make, here we go. I need to get back on text. And I can add a stroke around the lettering like that. Now, when we have shape color selected, you're then working with the overall box. I accidentally put a stroke on that just a second ago, but I do want to take that off. And that's just because this box right here is over top of that shape. So I'm going to get rid of that shape here and just have the box. So with shape color selected, then, we have our fill, and then if we have stroke, that'll be the outside of that box. So neat little color menu. Just when you're changing colors in that, just, if you're wanting to just change the lettering, go with text color. If you want to work with the overall box itself, that is where you'll go to shape color. Photos selected, and that's where we're going to get our photo editing options. Okay, so let me scale this back down. So I have a heading in here. Say what, go back. And let's say I'm going to keep it just like this. Okay. All right. So let's say that, I've worked and I've really made this my own template, how I want it to be. I want to use this for my other candid pages, my class candid pages. That way I have some kind of recurring look, something that ties, everything together. So if you need to use, you make your own template, you want to use that onto other pages. Here's where we go up to File, and we're going to do Save as Template. Once you do that, you'll have a prompt pull up, little dialogue here. You're going to enter a name for your template. I will name mine Candid, and I've done a lot of these, so I'm just going to name it 101. You can choose, it by default goes to both pages. We could do just the right, just the left, or both. So in this case, I'm just still going to just do both pages here. I'm going to hit save. And let's see, on our pages, need to find here some blank pages here. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to jump further down the book. I'm going to go under the Designs tab. And to find my template, I'm going to go under Custom, and then I'll be under My Templates. And actually, there we go. It's going to be in here alphabetically. So I found that, and we're just going to drag and drop that onto the pages. Now, for a while, if you've been kind of wondering what this retain existing content is that comes up whenever I drop templates on. So anytime you drop a template over, you'll see this. What it does is you want to retain existing content and then do template. Since there's nothing on here, I normally hit no. And what hitting no will do, it will overwrite anything that is already there on the page. So here, let me close out of this. Let me drop an older template of mine on here. So this is just from a different webinar. And let's say I'm going to bring my new template over here. It says, do you want to retain existing content? In this case, no. I don't want any of this. I want to bring my new template on. So I'm going to hit no, and it's just going to overwrite with everything that is there. So what happens if you hit yes? Depending on what you have on the page, sometimes when you bring it over and you hit yes, it tries to fit certain things in here and there with other templates. Where I find it all really important of where that retain existing content is whether you have a background on the page or not. So I'm actually, real quick, I'm just going to go under the Art tab, and I'm going to go into just our generic backgrounds here. Still need to get to the themes here in just a second, but we're getting there. We're getting real close. So under backgrounds, okay, I'm just going to toss a couple on here. All right, and hit save. All right, so I'm going to go back to my designs. So I'm going to bring my template over and ask if I want to retain anything. Well, I'm going to hit no. And then we just saw that, that took out the background there. But your background option, and here I'm just going to use different ones while we're doing this. Your background can still be applied, once your template is on and everything, you can still drop on your backgrounds and they'll go from there. Now that is only the backgrounds in this folder that will do this. Other backgrounds we have in the program have to be applied using that change background menu. So we can get the backgrounds on after. So where does that retain existing content really work out? Well, in my just in working with the pages, it really helps if you've already gone through, and let's say you put the backgrounds on the page first. Well, if I bring over my template, now I hit no the last time and it took it right out. But if I hit yes, background stays, and here's my template coming in. So does it matter really if you apply backgrounds before your layout or after or before? No. Either way. I mean, they'll still get onto the page. And just remember, if you can always toss on the template, drop in the background. But if let's say you've gone through, you weren't sure on templates, but you knew for sure what backgrounds you were going to use, still you can go through, add your backgrounds. Just remember when you're bringing them on your templates and you get that retain existing info to hit yes, and that way you keep your background. So coming up to this point, we're going to look at the theme backgrounds, because let's say that you signed up for a different cover or signed up with for one of our covers, and if it's one that has theme art, you're just wanting to have something that give a nice kind of a tied in look all through the book. So here is applying theme art, or at least the theme backgrounds. Here's where we're going to go under edit, and we're going to go to that change background menu. It's a handy little menu. You can keep this up while you're working on it, so that way you're always kind of around. You can float it around, move it around. That way it works, out of your way, and that way you can still work with it. I'm actually going to, you can select which page you want. I'm actually going to remove the old background here. Now under this background menu, let's say that maybe you didn't want to do, on a few pages throughout there, maybe you just wanted a solid color. You didn't want a theme background. You didn't want any kind of clip art background that had design. You can come through, hit color. And what that'll do is I guess I had right page selected. So they'll then add just a solid color that is there. Used on page will kind of help you if you go in colors, because then it'll kind of see what you've already used and able to allow you to select that color quickly. All right. So then we'll get down to choose image. Now this is going to allow us to navigate through the program and choose a couple different things here. So it's going to allow us to get to our theme art, which is under clip art. It's also going to allow you to get to activity, because neat thing about the change background tool will allow you to navigate out to your own images to get files to use as backgrounds. It's a really neat idea. We have a lot of advisors will kind of we'll see that time to time where maybe staff, the teachers themselves have gone around the school and they've taken pictures of memorable things that make their school their school. Maybe they have, maybe it's their building that looks pretty neat. Maybe they have something on their grounds like an old tree that looks, like maybe they got a good, the tree or something in some sunlight that looked really awesome, or those long hallway shots or something like that. You could, upload those, apply them as background, and kind of put some tinting on them, stuff like that. So that's just some ideas that are out there. Or you want to use some of your own images as background. Just make sure that they're coming off your cameras or your devices large enough to actually apply. But yeah, if you kind of coming off most digital cameras and stuff like that, you usually don't have any problem with size on those. But just wanted to throw that out there. But let's say you went with a cover. So under clip art, we're going to look under, for our theme art, we're going to look under by cover here. Going through, we got argon, everything for that. Another big popular one, branching out. That's done. So any cover, and even the diary. We also have some of the mascot options that are here. So if it's any one of our current folders for this season, most of them have a theme that is here. And let's just say we'll go to backpack here. So when we're looking through, this would be a potential option. This is a background option. Anything that's kind of outlined in red, you can kind of see that's some of the clip art that is there. So I'm going to select a background color and hit select, and then it'll apply that from there. Go left page, choose image. So you'll select your background there. Now with the theme art, so this is how you apply the theme backgrounds, but the backgrounds have to be used, applied using the change background. So then on a theme, like if you were using the clip art for that theme, you're going to find that under the art tab over here. And we're going to go under clip art, and we can still navigate down to that by cover section. And here's backpack. So as before, there's some of those little pieces you see, the little clip art can be just dropped on the page here. And these, I've seen people kind of bring these down and have made, and that's just getting that message because I'm dropping it real close to the edge, but they've kind of lined the bottom with the little sports stuff. But these do enlarge too, where you could run the whole thing across the bottom. So clip art that is there. What you'll see is if you bring a background over from this area, like I said, only the clip art or only the backgrounds that are here under this background section fill the page entirely. If it's our theme art, what you'll notice if you bring one over, they come onto the page small, like a piece of clip art. So, if you were doing something, you needed to do something neat where maybe you were doing half a page one color and a half a page, this would be kind of a neat way you could apply those. To make kind of a half and, or maybe if you needed to do, if you're doing some kind of graduate page thing where one student had the top half, one student had the bottom, kind of split it up kind of like that. That's kind of neat. But if you need that background to fully extend and fill out the whole page, you'll have to use the background menu that is there. All right, so that is theme backgrounds. So remember, when you're looking for any of that stuff, whenever if you're under change background or whether you're under the art tab itself, just remember you're looking for that section that says by cover, and then under that will be all the theme art that we have available. So that was actually where I was going to end off on today. Do have one question, and I'm sorry, and I'm not sure if they're still on here, but they were asking if you're doing the 8-page look back option, are there templates for that here as well? That is kind of a different little section that is here. I think those, you talk to your rep about those, and that's actually it's actually comes through the production part back here, and someone loads those into your pages for you, and then I think your rep notifies you like when it's ready for you to start building or something like that. But those templates aren't, as far as I know, those templates aren't readily here. They have to be linked in from an account here. Can you move the page order, or do you reckon laying out what goes on each prior to page building? Good question. Ideally, it's best to kind of go through first and kind of plan stuff the best that you can. Kind of plan, give yourself a good plan or a rough plan, but at least have some kind of, I'm going to have the grades in this order. I'm going to have this next. I'm going to have that. And that's where I'm going to save, take a break here. And that's where, filling in your own notes here on the page ladder, help you keep on track on that. But like I said earlier, just at the very beginning, life happens. So if you need to move stuff around, maybe it was you got through this and like, oh, well, these things switched around, or you know what, when I was putting in these certain events, I got this event out of order with this, and maybe I need to just flip these two spreads around. Well, if you need to move things around, went a little fast. Go under the Create menu and then go down to Page Mover. And this will load up the Page Mover here. And let's see, where was our page that we built? But anyway, well, you're not seeing it off the bat here. Oh, there it is. Okay, so let's say that I needed to move our page that we built further up in the book. So I'm just going to grab the 2-page spread. Now, as I'm moving it, you see a red bar going with it. This red bar is, when you drop it, is where it will insert that new spread. So if I drop this, if I put that red bar, make sure the red bar is between spread 2, 3, and 4, and 5. If I drop that here, I'm going to get a question, are you certain to wish to insert pages 14 to 15 before page 4? In this case, I'm going to hit yes, or I had some other thing that was kind of blocking that. It doesn't look like that took here. Let me do this again. Oh, I accidentally hit no. Let me hit yes. Okay, there we go. So my spread dropped in, and then everything else shifted back here. So that's, something gets misplaced. Maybe some events maybe you need to rearrange some stuff, or maybe you need to maybe you're just getting in for, you loaded last year's stuff and you already know stuff has moved around and you want to kind of pre-move things around. Definitely use the page mover. Just drag and drop around. Now, some certain things that you'll see here is, what is this purple bar that is going across here? So if you see this, that means they're DPS pages. And DPS stands for dual photo spread. And what that really means is there's just something that is overlaying both pages, or something that is crossing both pages, tying them together. It could be a rotated photo box in the middle, like on a clause page. It could be a banner that runs across, like a heading banner that runs across, tying together. Pages that are like this, you can't split them up while you're moving pages, because you can come over here to the left of this area and hit switch to single page view, and you can then at that point start moving single pages. Like if I want to switch 10 and 11, I could just do that as before. Now when you're moving single pages, instead of a red bar, it'll be blue. Now, one thing that you cannot do is when you have these purple bars in place, you just can't bring that single page past them. And it's, I can bring that here. But you see, nothing really moved. And that's just because the program is not going to split these up. So when best, if you see this, you're not really sure why it has one. If it's something like a piece of clip art that kind of extends a corner over, that's a good way to do that. So another question we have here is, how do you edit the text within the pre-done headlines, like the clip art? The clip art are images. So it's flat. They're not editable. So if you need any kind of editable text, it'll have to be from one of the text boxes. But good question. We get asked if our clip art's editable quite a bit. Now the from the click and go. Okay. All right. Let me get back to a page here. All right. Misunderstood that. So let me get back here. Let me just jump on any page here. Let me toss one on. I'll just pick any one here. So I'll just toss it on. So here earlier, when these come onto the page, they come on grouped. So, and you'll see that has a little dashed lines going across there and around it. So before you can type in a name here, just when this is selected, just come up here to the upper right, just to the left of the padlock, you'll have the ungroup, and you'll click on that. So now everything is just selected, it's ungrouped. So I'm just going to click off somewhere. Oh, here, I'm going to ungroup it. Okay, now that it's ungrouped, I can just select this box and, you know, whatever the heading needs to be, you know, but type away. But yeah, just make sure that you ungroup it, and then you're good to go on those. So, very good questions in that. So, if there might just have a few more minutes. If I do have any more questions, try to get it. But no, really good questions coming through. You know, as far as going over everything tonight, you know, I've ended there on theme art in there. So yeah, if we don't have any more questions at the moment, it might be good to call it an afternoon there. So I'll give it just another second here in case one pops up, but all right. So, all right. I'll tell you what. We'll go ahead. I think we got through, and hopefully we had enough Q&A here to kind of help some of that side stuff. You know, just to kind of fill in some blanks on some of this other stuff. But thank you very much, anybody everybody that's here still on this. Thank you, everyone that attended. So when you hear the recording, thank you. So definitely, we really appreciate you guys joining these and joining in with us, learn as much of the program that you can. So again, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. You know, these demonstrations of the functions related to the creation of activity pages, you know, they may help when it comes time to build your yearbook. Using templates already in the program and building your own templates should save you time and give your book continuity. So feel free to join us, not next week, but the week after, where we go over the final steps of the yearbook building process, where we go over how to review pages, how you complete your pages, and how to submit them to get them into us for production. So thank you again, everybody. Until then, you have any questions or need any help with anything, please give us a call at 1-877-302-3140 or get a hold of us at memorybook tech support at jostens.com.